가정의 3.
사회로 줄인 우리 가정은 한 사람을 중심하고 4대 신정권과 3대 왕권과 안정권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
4.
사회로 줄인 우리 가정은 한 사람을 중심하고 하나님 부모님의 창조 이상이 전주 대가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
As a first child of second, third generation, I freely and sincerely dedicate myself to love and honor God and true parents by practicing a life of attendance, absolute love, absolute faith, and absolute obedience. 2. Love and honor my parents by maintaining the tradition of our lineage that began with the matching and blessing of true parents and has been passed on to me. Love and honor my church and community by giving myself in service to others and by participating in church activities. Love and honor my future spouse, my future children, and myself by maintaining sexual purity prior to receiving the matching and blessing. Please be seated for Kevin, who will be offering opening prayer today.
Dear Heavenly Parents, thank you for this day. Today we're all gathered here for wishing. Once again, I hope you can learn a lot. And you probably learn and apply it to it in your life to become closer to God. I pray in the name of God, Son, and Holy Spirit, blessed to family,
Thank you, Kevin. Now, everyone's favorite part of the day. Our new challenge of Alright. These questions everyone should get right because it's going to be easiest after. Hands and feet to yourself. Alright, okay, so it should be easy for you since we went over the questions. It should be. Anyway, so we had the questions last week with your group, so. Alright, you guys are lucky. Group number, so Deji's group. Alright, so what was the commandment that God gave to Adam and Eve? Okay, what else was it? That was deep for me, but what was it?
Good job.
Okay. Alright, awesome. 1 point for Deji's team. Alright. Alright, guys, a tad harder, kind group. Alright, let's keep listening. Alright, so you have 7 seconds to answer, right? Why did God give Adam and Eve the commandment? There were 2 reasons we discussed. 2 reasons. God, 6, 7. Chelsea.
To be fruitful and like don't eat the apple, so you know.
Okay, so he wanted them to be fruitful. He wanted to give them the chance to develop themselves. And what else did he what else did he wanna? What else did God realize that he's like, ooh, I better give them stuff? He knew of what?
He knew that they were real.
Not them, but he knew that there was a possibility of what?
Falling.
Yeah, well, he knew that that Lucifer might tempt them. He knew that along the lines that could have happened. So he's like, ooh, I better give them this commandment. Okay, so yeah, 2 double-faceted question. But anyways, we'll just give it to them.
Yeah,
Okay, 1 point. Yay! A 4-point team. Benji's team. All right, next team, Benji and Jonah's team. Joseph, you got this. And Kevin. All right, next one. This one should be easy. Why did Lucifer decide to attempt Eve?
That's a lot.
6. Oh, we have 6 children.
He was jealous?
Yeah, why was he jealous?
That opportunity after the school love that God was giving him.
Yes. Alright, next team. This is like our top team right now. Alright, this is also like what? Why did Eve give in to Satan's temptation? What was she told? Ooh, Gina. Okay. Why did Eve give in to Satan's temptation? What did he end up? What made her realize?
Because Adam is like that boy, and he's like wild, crazy.
But what did? She wasn't just like, oh, he's off, he's not playing with me, let me go fall. What did she hear? Does anyone know?
6.
5,
Any of
4,
your between minutes,
3,
say them.
2,
Say them.
1.
Okay, now Jin.
Satan told her that if you fall, you will see what God sees.
Yes, your eyes will be like God, right? Or open your eyes and become like God. That's what he told her. So when she heard that, that was her persuasive point. It was like, oh, really? So that made her kind of bend. Good job, Namjin. All right, guys, next one. This one should, okay. What did God do to Adam and Eve as a result of their fall? 6, 5, 4.
He banished them. Wait.
Yes,
Can we call him?
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
No, he banished them from the
He banished them from the Garden of Eden. Awesome. Okay. Next one. Sorry. One more. Not one more. Sorry. Another rest. How? Oh yeah. How does team Genji team? How does the fall relate to me today? How does it apply to my situation?
Well, we learn to keep our sexual purity
Why?
so that we can continue our pilgrimage and try ourselves, and just to follow God, because that's what they did. They disobeyed God. We learned from them.
Very nice, Tommy. Okay, Tommy.
There we go.
What can I do to change? Oh, he answered it for us. Okay. 2 points. All right, guys, next one. What are the benefits of living an abstinent lifestyle? Just do get it.
Because you know a relationship is intimate and intimacy is
What's the benefits though?
sex leads to problems because they not only affect you, their relationship girl and yourself, but other people. Relationship girl.
With the girl. Okay. Thank you, Chelsea. All right. How does my commitment, Kevin? This is for you. You can't look at yourself. What? Sorry. How does my commitment to an abstinence and purity prepare me for my future spouse?
What?
Okay. How does my commitment to abstinence and purity prepare me for my future spouse?
It's like the same concept as dating, like you have homework to give to your
Okay, good. Yeah, saving your heart for your spouse. Wait, anyone else want to say? I want to hear Yumi's voice sometime. All right, thank you. Okay, all right, another one. What are some things I need to do to strengthen my commitment to abstinence? What are some things that we can do? Strengthen your commitment to abstinence. Any 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You were no one. No, one of you guys. Okay, well, we have someone wanting to steal it in the front.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you can see boys, our first teachers.
Okay, we can like read the DD. We could like learn about what abstinence in school too, and we can
They
like
teach abstinence at school.
yeah,
They do?
yeah, yeah, and not date.
Awesome, very good options. So yeah, you know, team number 1, they doubled their points today. I mean, Yeji's team. Last one. Why should I protect my identity and purity? Yeah, I know we answered a lot, but anyway, you guys have an opportunity to get another point.
Why should we protect our identity and our purity?
Yeah, think about what your identity is, like how hard people work to get you here.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry. What do you want to say, Myung-Shin?
Our parents, the first generations, and our grandparents, the first and second generations, worked so hard to bring back ourselves to the original positions that we had before them all. So we have to protect that so all the hard work does not go to waste.
Awesome, thank you. Very good. All right, and so yeah, if you could just welcome up. All right, thank you so much. So it looks like you know, some teams like got a lot more points today. Like my team got 2 points.
Yes.
Team team got 3 points.
Yes. 0 points. Yeah.
All right, right now Nicole and Nicole's team and Yeji's team got the most points, but she won today.
Those two.
We'll tell you later who's in the lead. Thank you. Let's give it up for our team. Our wonderful Mrs. Hyder.
That was good.
That was loud.
I love that.
First of all, I'm really impressed because I can see that you have fun by your answers. You are much more clear on many, many, many points. So I'm really, really impressed to see this kind of growth that I see now. At the beginning, you weren't answering so many questions, and now it's like everybody knows what's going on. Much more clearer. So I'm quite impressed with what you're reviewing. It's very good, very good. Today I feel a little inadequate. I've been all over the place in Canada and Virginia, and my mind has been on many different things, and I hope I can really share with some clarity. I've just been all over the place. I want to touch on a topic that I wasn't so sure to talk about, but I heard Reverend Lee talk about it a little bit. So, I'll cover some points on it. So, we know what the apple was. Everybody's clear what the apple was. It was the fruit. We understand what fruit is from a male and female relationship. What is the fruit? It's a baby. It's like an apple. A tree has its fruit. The fruit of a tree is its babies. The ability to reproduce itself. So even a chicken has fruit. It has it in the egg. If it's fertilized, then little chickens come out. So I want to be clear what an apple symbolizes. It's not a fruit in a tree or a banana or a melon or whatever you think it is, a vegetable. It is the fruit in a woman's womb, which is a combination of a male and female seed. So this is what a fruit is. It's not just something you ate. It's something that was passed through a sexual intercourse. That's where the fruits are. The ovaries, and the man has his sexual organs. So I want to be clear on that. In the fall of man, there were two aspects. So we we know that Adam and Eve committed something. But we also know that there was something in the garden. It was a snake. Now I'd like to know, how many people have had spiritual experiences? How many people have seen a spirit? Raise your hand. How many people, spiritual experiences encompasses many things. Maybe you have heard some spirit talk. How many? How many people have smelled something? Some people smell roses. I've smelled cigars. I've smelled different things. Or even have an experience of tasting something. Do you know, before I go into the serpent, because I'm going into the spiritual aspect, and I think this is something you need to really understand. I'm not going to go into it really deep, but I want you to have an understanding of what's behind. We pass, physical DNA is passed from the lineage to lineage, but also spiritual DNA is passed with this. So, how many have had, you know what deja vu is? Can you raise your hand if you had some form of deja vu? How many people don't know what deja vu is? It's when you feel you know something or you experienced it before, but you can't catch that feeling, you know, and it just goes away. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So deja vu is something spiritual. It's not, I'm trying to bring out and try to make you understand the spiritual world exists. And that somehow, some way, each and every one of us, whether we understand it or not, have had some form of spiritual experience. So deja vu, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but it's a form of a spiritual experience. How many people have had a dream that the dream is so real that you got hurt in the dream, or you had an experience that you woke up and it was like, whoa, that was horrible. And it's not something that was on your mind in the dream. How many? Ah, we have a lot of spiritual experiences here. Do you understand? I'm going to give you two examples of my, I love to go back to my own personal, because for me it's very real. I've had many, many, many different spiritual experiences, but I'll tell you two. So we can have a little understanding of where I want to go with this. So one time I was sleeping with, and I had my son in the bed. He was maybe about 8 or 9 years old. We used to have, I would sleep with my son one night, maybe sleep with the girls one night, or it's just to make relationships with our children. And it was a treat in my house to have you know, that my kids can sleep with us. One night I was laying down, I was sleeping, dead sleeping. My son is next to me. Must have been 2 o'clock in the morning. I call that kind of the witching hour, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then after that it kind of changes. And I remember I'm sleeping, all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, my body just got up. I sat up, don't know what woke me up. I turned around, and here's my son laying next to me, and there was a spirit man on top of him. And I see him, he's got a hoodie on. The guy got a hoodie on. But his eyes were almost looking like, I guess some people would think it was an alien, but I knew it was a spirit man. His eyes with that alien kind of look. And I thought after, oh, that's why people think there's aliens, because maybe some deformity or something. You know, this is my understanding. And I don't, again, I do not know why I woke up, and he's just looking down at my son from the corner of the bed. He's looking down, and when he saw me that I just pushed up, maybe some spiritual sense inside me from a dead sleep, And I just looked at him. You know, you don't even know why you're getting up. I just looking at him like, he's got his hoodie, and he's looking at my son. He turned around, he looked at me. He saw that I was looking at my son, and I just saw him just, how do you say, when those movies that you see, they just disappear, they get smaller, and they go into another zone. And I wasn't frightened. I just got up, and I was surprised to see this guy with a hoodie with this alien type of look, looking down at my son. Don't know what he wanted, but when he saw me, he split. He just went, and I could literally see him go into another dimension. And I thought, wow, what did he want? But I was glad he left. I was glad he left. I wasn't frightened. I just know when I looked at him, he knew he didn't belong there. Another experience, and I say this because I'm referring to this one because we're talking about dreams. I'm sleeping, and I'm having all these weird thoughts and dreams, and it was like, I don't know, it's just going back and forth, and all of a sudden, I wake up, and the spirit man is on top of me, and it's like somebody telling you a story that's not your story, but telling you something of his weird, dimensional, I'm sorry, I have to say it, dimensional thoughts. And I woke up and I went, and I see him, and I realized, oh my gosh, this guy is projecting his thoughts in my mind, and I think it's a dream. I think it's a dream, but it's him. I don't want to scare you. I want you to be aware that the fall has two components, a physical and a spiritual. Now I'll continue. Anybody, did I scare anybody? I hope not. So we know what the fruit was. And now, the fall we say was Lucifer. And you know, when we hear the fall, it says many, many things. But a snake, it's more, you hear it going like this, but behind the snake, thought has a goal. I'm going to get my prey. You understand that? It's not just, well, the serpent did this. There was motivation. There was a motivation behind the serpent. But Adam and Eve had the commandment. Adam and Eve had the responsibility to follow God's commandment. But the temptation came through the snake and his motivation. So the fall has two components. It has a physical, which was the situation with Adam and Eve, but the spiritual came in through the serpent, from this, you know, the relationship between the physical fall and the spiritual fall. I don't know, did you go into these things? Anyway, so the serpent is an archangel. Is he physical? No, he's spiritual. The spirit world is very real. It's very real. And at this particular time, it's very polluted. It's coming slowly to God's side, but still very polluted. And we can see it through the culture that we have. And then we go into the two leaves, the two trees, and you kind of know. So I'll go back. Now I'm going to continue into this, and then I'll go back into the spiritual component. What was lost as the result of the fall? What was lost? The first blessing. The relationship between mind and body and perfect individual. Also, when a person is mature, and let's say you pass on, you go to the spirit world. You go to the spirit world mature. You go to the spirit world containing the components of life elements from God. We lost true love, and that transcends to the spiritual side. We are ignorant of God's heart. We lost true life. Love is the source of life. What was lost? The second blessing. Because the immaturity of Adam and Eve and the fall, which brought physical and spiritual components of the fall in our lineage. We lost true parents. Adam and Eve never became our true parents. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years, no true parents. Thousands and thousands of years living not understanding God. And when you lose God, you lose oneself. And much more. We lost true lineage. We know that the components that were passed down was aspects of the physical and spiritual fall, spiritual and physical DNA. We lost true brothers and sisters. No parents to teach us how to love each other. When Adam and Eve fell, what was the next sin? Who can tell me what the next sin was? Cain and Abel. Do you remember Cain and Abel? The whole family was lost. It was a tragic situation for God and everybody, the whole family. They didn't know how to be. And you can see, open up the news, just open up the news. We see killings and situations and countries, and we lost the relationship of true brother and sister. We lost, above all God's culture. The culture we live in, is it God's culture? Not at all. Not at all. What else was lost? The third blessing, we talked about creation. We lost our inheritance. We lost our God-given rights. These are our rights. Nobody else's rights, these are our rights. Jesus said, Satan is the ruler of this world. Just look around. We live in a false culture. False culture, is it God's culture? No. Had Adam and Eve lived and became perfect, do you think we would have this lecture? No, just a little bit, just a little tweaking of, our relationship with God, and because you're young and you're developing, but it wouldn't have been sin after sin after sin. We live in a false culture. What was lost? It's funny, I was just asking my husband, did we put in Windicate? And we did. The fall of man brought 3 consequences. God lost his children. He lost his temple. What's a temple? We are the temples. Just to let you know, had Adam and Eve not committed their sin, no need for churches. Why? We would have been the temple where God dwells. No need. The first church was the family. Wouldn't have been a church. It was the school of love. That, the family. Because man was to be the dwelling place of God. Furthermore, God lost the only home in which his love could be manifested. Adam and Eve were not only to be his children of God, but were to be the recipients, that's why I named my husband, of his love. With the fall of man, God lost everything he had hoped for in the love of his own children, the love between husband and wife, and the love between parent and child. Temptation. I like to say old little snaky pants comes in this. Should I? Shouldn't I? What shall I do? Temptation. We looked the definition of temptation. There's two aspects of temptation. The bigger print is what we're focusing on. Temptation is the desire to perform an action that one may enjoy immediately or in the short term, but will probably later regret it for the various reasons: legal, social, psychological, including feelings of guilt, health-related, economics. In the content of some religions, temptation is the inclination to sin. What is sin? Sin is the separation between man and God. It's separation. Religion means to remind man and God. Temptation also describes the coaching or inducing a person into committing such an act by manipulation or otherwise of curiosity, desire, of fear, or lust. So we're focusing on the religious or the relationship between God and man. The other ones I'm not going to read, but it's a little bit less. It's like, oh, I had too much cheesecake today, but there's an extra piece. I need that cheesecake. You may gain weight. For me, I have high cholesterol. It doesn't work for me. I shouldn't touch it. But I got to do it. Why? It's delicious. But that's like, then the consequences on it, I put a couple of pounds on. But it's not the separation between man and God. Temptation. What is temptation? Temptation is the desire to do that which we know to be wrong. As second and third generation, you were born without original sin. Oh Lord, if you only understood, even I do not know the depth of the meaning of this, no original sin. So you're thinking, now we have to go back 6,000 biblical years, and that's just book years of sin, original sin. And here you were born, the first, I was born with original sin. I was born with original sin. We had to go through a whole course and, how to cleanse that original sin. You guys have no original sin. You have some sin from ancestors or different situations. But the original sin that separated, the sin that was in the fall, the original sin was the sin of Adam and Eve. You have no original sin. You are the direct lineages of God. People in the past, nuns, priests, religious people, scream to have that sin taken away. You are born without the first sin. All of humankind, we're like one seed in all of humankind. It's like a big desert with one grain of sand that God's hope is dwelling upon, is looking at, and hoping for the future of mankind. You guys have no original sin. I had to have mine cleansed. I cannot tell you the depth of what that means. That's why we are so worried about you because of this culture. Because we want you to keep your inheritance. We want you to keep your lineages. We want the best for you because God will dwell with you. yet you still struggle. Why? Understanding temptation. Temptation can prevent us from fulfilling our true potential, the dues of the 3 blessings. Temptation can cause serious long-term problems, the do's, the don'ts of the commandment. Temptation can lead us to sin. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of going back into the spiritual aspect. Everybody knows what pornography is, right? I cannot stress. I shake when I think about these things. You're on a porn site. You're watching something that's not kosher. Because I'm a very real person. And I know that many of us will go through some form of temptation. When you're on that site and doing something and you're looking at all this, the guys that made that porn trashed human society. It's like eating, it's like we go inside a garbage can and we go put our hands in and we say, this is good. It's garbage, it's trash. Not only trash, but there's spirits that are connected to that. And the more you feed on that, the more you get those spirits with you. And it's a very hard addiction. It's a very hard addiction. Same thing with drugs. People get caught up on drugs because of the spiritual pollution. I'll give it an example. Let's say you are maybe this is heavy, but I want you to understand a little bit. Let's say you there's a woman. Maybe she was 20 years old, 30 years old, 20 years old. She passed away, maybe some tragic accident. And she's lonely, doesn't understand the life after death, doesn't understand where she is and what's happening and why she died and the whole 9 yards. Some people are not born with understanding or not educated in the eternal life. Very confusing woman. Lonely. She's lonely. All of a sudden you become emotional or lonely, or you break away from your parents, or you don't have a connection. These guys, they attach. Oh, man, you're a lonely person? Me too. Maybe I can, if you find somebody, maybe I can, if I attach to you, I can get filled. I can not be lonely. Smoke cigarettes. You smoke cigarettes? People die without changing their habits, so they're smoking. Oh, whoa! Can't buy cigarettes in the spirit world. You can't buy them. That's how you feel. I need a cigarette. I used to smoke when I was a kid. It's crazy, but that's how it is. They attach to you. So not only you have to break your habit, we used to call them monkeys on our backs. There's monkeys on your backs. And they're getting fulfilled. Same thing with the sexual desires. It is, so the spiritual fall brought a lot of issues and problems. So you're not just going through the problem yourself. So that somebody will tempt you. But prayer, church life, family life, Hundake life, lifeline. That's your lifeline. And if you're struggling, you gotta talk to somebody. I like to say, trust your parents. But sometimes we get emotional. If a kid comes, my kid, Mama, I'm like, ah! And sometimes you feel like you can't trust your parents, although I believe you can. And the first situation, parents always freak. Why? They're emotionally attached to you. They don't want you to get hurt. It's like you come to them, Mama, I got this, I fell and my head is all bloody. Ah! Let me see. You ever have your parent do something like that? Or, let me look, where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? It's just the first reaction. Parents. Then, look at these onis. Your onis. I don't know, what is it, Opa? What do you call yourself? They're there for you. They're there for you. So, you have your lifeline. We're going to go through the lifeline. Did I have anybody out? I just want you to I want you to understand there's two components of the fall, the physical and the spiritual. And Father was very clear to clarify the original sin. Nobody else did that in history, only true Father. To clarify, the sin was a physical, and no, I would like to say first spiritual, the thought, the emotion, and then the physical. Sin is the separation between man and God. If you sin, can you rebind? Yes, if you change, you can come. Sin is damaging. Fallen victims to temptation create sin in our lives. Sin weighs us down and limits and distorts our true potential. Sin can seriously affect our lives and change our destiny. I need somebody to read this. Bible reading. Matthew 5:27-30. Oh, say it loud.
You have heard that it was said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go to hell.
Jesus knew what the original sin was. But of course we know Jesus went on the cross. But he already knew what the original sin. And why did he, it's pluck your eye out. So, can you stand up? Turn around. I think he's a handsome boy here. In fact, he's a cutie. Does it mean I should claim him? Yes. He does not belong to me. He belongs only to his future spouse. Yes, God made beautiful things. Can you stand up? I think she's beautiful. Many of you are beautiful. Did God make her very beautiful? Yes. Yes. Why? God likes beauty. That's part of God's nature. But to claim it for yourself, it's like stealing. It doesn't belong to you. She doesn't belong to anybody but her future spouse. So yes, you can see there's very beautiful girls. Boys will get tempted. Girls will look at a guy and say, well, you know, maybe you could be my spouse, or whatever, or he's cute, whatever. But it does not belong to you. If you take it, you're stealing. You have to look at it from that perspective. We cannot claim things that don't belong to us. Lucifer did that. Satan did that. He looked at Eve, among other things that he had in his mind, and he said, let's It's one hot number. That's what he said. He said, what? Adam is supposed to have her? Nah. That don't work for me. I'll take her. I'm going to have her. He was stealing. There's many reasons. It's not for him. It was not for him. So, God made beautiful men and women, but it does not belong to you. It does not belong to you. And, as Jesus said, so you look at something, and if you're really, he said, if it's really bothering you, take your eye out. Why? Because this eye is going to get your whole body infected. Then your whole body's sick. Then you'll lose your eye. The greatest sin. When you give up your love for the sake of fallen love, however, there are two persons involved. Everyone who is involved in that lust is involved in that fallen criminal action. What is the worst tragedy of any home? It is the departure of love. If love leaves, nothing remains but hatred, division, animosity, and jealousy. You know, I'm sure you have friends that have parents that are divorced. It really rips into the children. And most of the time, I would say 95% of divorce is because somebody cheated. Somebody cheated. Somebody took something that did not belong to them, another person. And it changed the whole dimension because no love is coming. It's going in a different direction. It's emptying out the household. Kids. They have the kids are the tragedies. The whole family it changes the whole dimension of the family. I'm going to live with mommy or daddy. Which one should I live with? Mommy or daddy? You have to choose mommy or daddy. Why should we choose? We have to correct these issues. And that's what fallen lineage has caused. We have to change it. We're going upstream, but that stream is getting wider and wider. It will be easier in the future to go up the stream. The misuse of love brought death. The fall of man caused the fundamental destruction of the whole entire universe. That's Father's words. Is temptation serious? How serious are we when it comes to temptation? One reason we don't pay much attention to temptation is because we think it is easy to escape. I had somebody came to me. She was dating a married man. I told her, the only thing he has to offer you is his wife and his 2 children. Nah, I can handle it. I can handle it. I told her, again, the only thing he has to offer you is his wife and 2 children. He never left his wife. He dragged her for 10 years as a mistress. I'm telling you some of the heavier things, but this is the reality. You could see it in your friends. One reason we don't pay attention to it is because we think it's easy. Yeah, I can handle it. Can't handle it. We cannot handle it because there's many things in the background. The spirit world, we don't know what's happening. The pollution in the background is very thick. The fish takes the bait because it does not know the danger. Fish comes up, sees food, looks good. There's a hook. There's a hook. Reverend Sudo, famous lecturer, used to say, give me your finger. Satan goes like this. Oh, it's a little finger. It's a little finger. It's just a little finger. And then you're saying, yeah, it's a little finger. It takes your whole body. Does you think he wants his little finger? We need to take temptation seriously and do all we can to resist the schemes. We must have a strategy to overcome temptation. Winning the battle. If we want to win temptation battle, we must prepare for the attack. It is foolish to wait until we are tempted to figure out our battles. Fight with a plan. Establish rules of engagement. We need 3 lines of defense. What to do before we are tempted. What to do when we are under attack. And what to do if we give in to temptation. 3 lines of defense. First line, what to do before temptation. Build your spiritual immunity. Can somebody tell me what's that before I review it? That's one, when they're there. Prayer life. Relationship with your parents. Relationship with your parents. I cannot stress that. If you're even, you're not the greatest person who prays, that comes sometimes develops later. Your parents are your lifeline. Your parents are your lifeline. Your parents know how to guide you. Love relationship with your parents. Trust in your parents. Surround yourself with healthy influences. Develop and practice spiritual habits. Establish open lines of communication. Parents, your counselors. Create accountable circles. 3 lines of defense. Second line, what to do when tempted. Being tempted is not wrong. I told you, she looks beautiful, he's cute, or unnatural, but giving into temptation is. Ask God, is this temptation? Call upon God for the power to resist. God will never allow us to be tempted beyond our ability to resist. Don't sit around and analyze the temptation. Run, split, flee, go, depart, be, or retreat. Hasta la vista. 3 lines of defense. Third line, what to do after being tempted. Don't follow temptation. If sin does happen, then what? Sometimes it is not possible to be sinless, but it is always possible to sin less. Know that God, your parents, and your parents still love you. Confess, repent, and move on. Confession is, I told you, God gave us a washcloth. Confession, it's funny, I'm still sinning in a different sense, not the fall, but I have fallen nature. And I went through something this weekend and I was rechecking myself. And Reverend Lee was speaking, and it's just what I needed. And here I am in the chair, crying and repenting. But repenting and telling God I'm sorry and whatever the situation was or whatever, anyway, my own fallen nature sins. And crying, and I really was appreciative. Reverend Lee pointed out certain points, that I can really reflect. My conscience was bothering me for a while. And it's a washcloth. You wash. You wash yourself. You confess. I didn't confess to anybody but God. I'm a little bit more mature and I can confess, at least the smaller, the Catholics call it venial sins, the small sins, not the mortal sins, the big, big, big ones. But I'm a little mature that I can say, okay, Heavenly Parents, and it's like a wash. You're washing your heart. You're recognizing your situation. You're repenting. washcloth, artistic washcloths. And you move on. You don't dwell. Sometimes guilt puts you in the realm, oh man, you have to move on. But, you know, I need to say, parents, your parents, improve your strategy next time. 3 lines of defense. 3rd line, what to do after being tempted. Remember the 4 C's. Cry, that's what I did. Go ahead and let it out. It's good to hurt and cry over what you have done wrong. Confess, face the music and tell God what you have done, then tell your parents. Clean, cleanse. Allow God to cleanse you from your wrong by paying indemnity, apologizing for your action. Carry on. Walk in the good news of God. Forgiveness, practice healthy spiritual habits. Stay hot. If we want to defeat temptation, we need to support and encouragement of each other. We have got to keep each other hot for God in the midst of a world that is trying to cool us off. 7 checkpoints. Faith. Knowing what you believe and why you believe it, and what you struggle to believe and why you struggle to believe it. Ask questions. God and true parents can be trusted. Key question. Am I trusting God and our true parents with the critical areas of my life? Checkpoint 2, spiritual habits. Spiritual habits build our faith, study God's words, help us to see things the way God sees them. Key question, am I developing a constant prayer life? You know, I don't want to pressure anybody into understanding how to be sincere. Just be sincere with God. Listen, I can only pray this much, or I don't know how to pray, or whatever. Sincerity. Sincerity. 7 checkpoints. Moral boundaries. Moral boundaries are needed because purity paves the way to true love and true intimacy. When you're blessed, you don't have to worry about sexual diseases. You don't have to worry about, well, there's a lot of things you don't have to worry about. I'm not going to go into it. Am I establishing and maintaining godly moral boundaries? Friendship, healthy friendship. Healthy friendships are important because friends determine the direction and quality of your life. If you're hanging out with bad friends, my father had this saying, if you walk with a cripple, you become a cripple. If you walk with bad people, you become bad. Why? You're exchanging the elements. You're feeding off it. You're eating it. The trash can. I got that trash can from Father. Father said, mankind doesn't know that it goes into a trash can and eats it. And I thought, oh my God, it's like I have my little kid goes into, you know, you cover the trash can, and here I go, and I see my kid eating all the garbage. It's terrible. Healthy friendships are important because friends determine the direction and the quality of your life. Key question, am I establishing healthy friendships and avoiding unhealthy ones? 7 checkpoints. Checkpoint 5, wise choices. Making wise choices is important because your choice can help or hurt you. Question, key question, am I making wise choices in every area of my life? Never forget that your parents love you. Never forget. Team discussions, what kind of temptation do kids around you at school experience? What do you do when your friends invite you to do something you know it's wrong? You know, and you know that conscience goes beep, 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 wrong, wrong, beep, 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 I know it's wrong, beep, beep, beep. We all go through it. How do you draw your moral and ethical boundaries? Does it matter? Explain. What can or should you do when you make a mistake? Do you believe that God and true parents can forgive you? And then there's explanations. And that's it. Sorry if I went over time.
Oh, we started.
Who would like to pray?
Right, Steve?
You know, prayer is not for you guys. Prayer is for God. So when I ask who would like to pray, it's your opportunity to share with God. I see you smiling, so I got to pick you. No, don't turn around.
Yeah, you can.
No, I said you smile, that's the one.
Please come.
Oh, I didn't even know. I'm so loud, it doesn't matter.
There you go. Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Parents and true parents, Jesus Christ and all of this world around us here, thank you so much for this time where we can really receive a lot of good, spiritual, healthy food for our spiritual bodies. And I hope that all of us here were able to receive a lot of great points from Aunt Clara. So I hope that we can carry this information with us throughout our week and really learn how we can apply all of this wonderful content and spiritual food in our daily lives. So, thank you, God, for everybody here. And let's pray now for this up in my name, because this is no